Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beauty School Bobbi podcast. Today on this episode, I'm joined by one of my best friends, Erin Silver. She is a salon owner in Greenville, South Carolina of Silver Salon. She also is a co-owner of the Refine Network, which is a salon coaching program. They're incredible. They're amazing. We've done an episode with Evan and Christopher. It was just time to have Erin on the show. Erin is somebody who not only in business, but just in my personal life, I really, really lean on. She is the person that I will text when I'm stressed, when things are going right, when things are going wrong. She and Summer have just become such a big part of our lives, a part of our family's lives. So Erin is incredible. She is so loving, so kind. She's so honest. And I love that in this episode, we got to talk not only about her journey in the beauty industry, but we also got to talk about how we are juggling life in this moment as moms, as two women that are working with our spouses. We really get to dive deeper into our personal lives a little bit. And I think that Erin, like I said, is somebody that just brings out a light, funny side of me. So I was really excited to have her on the show. And I think that you're going to love this episode. If you are someone that is, juggling mom things right now while running businesses, if you are somebody that's new in the industry, she gave really great advice on what to expect from the beauty industry and how to set your expectations, and just really an honest episode about the reality of what life can look like and just where we are. We don't really have all the answers, but it was fun to share where we are in our journey right now. So I hope that you love it. Make sure at the end of the episode that you share this episode with somebody that you think needs to hear it. Make sure that you give us that 5-star review on podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube so that you're notified when new episodes come out. Follow me at Beauty School Bobbi and make sure you follow us on Beauty and Style Network. I hope you love it. Hey, beauty students and educators. I'm excited to share that Beauty School Bobbi is now supported by Beautycast Network, your go-to career services and placement platform for the beauty industry. Free to schools, educators, and students, Beautycast Network connects you with top artists, influencers, and educators who inspire and empower the next generation of pros. From webinars and newsletters to virtual career showcases, competitions, and scholarship pop-ups, the platform is packed with tools to build non-technical skills, encourage career readiness, and help students launch amazing careers as they approach their graduation date. Learn more at beautycastnetwork.com to help your students thrive and take their career to the next level. Now back to the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beauty School Bobbi podcast. I am so happy that you're listening today because I am here with one of my best friends from Greenville, South Carolina. This is Erin Silver. Erin, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm super thrilled and I'm so excited to get to do this with you.
I know. I'm so happy we get to talk and actually record it. I feel like we have so many conversations all the time, behind the scenes. And I'm like, let's talk about this on the show because there's just particular things that I want your opinion on. So before we jump in, I want to let everybody know all of the things that you do in the beauty industry. So you are not only a stylist behind the chair, so you do still do hair. You are a salon owner. You are a partner in the Refine Network. So you also are training salons on leadership and coaching and creating systems that they can put into place in their own salons. You've led the education on all of this. So you are doing 1 million different things. Erin, is this what you expected the beauty industry to look like for you at this point in your life? Or do you look back and say, what is going on?
I look back and I say, what the heck is going on? But I feel like, you're so kind and all the things, but I feel like all of the things that even Refine does and what we've done with Refine is all because we've made really big mistakes and that we've just selfishly created things that we knew would help our company. And that's just turned into something that we just realized would help other companies. And so that's kind of I don't, any like decent idea has come from a terrible mistake that we've made. So,
And you're
but
willing to be honest about it and share it with others so that they
yeah,
can avoid that. And I love that that's the purpose and intention of what you all do, because you all also are people that love people. And so I think
yeah,
for you all to be the ones that are able to help, I know it's brought you all so much joy. I think also, Erin, it's brought you a different sense of self, of identity in the beauty industry to be able to add this on as well. And I know it takes up so much of your time that I know that you don't have necessarily, but it's a fun new project to like look forward to and do to excite you. So tell me a little bit about adding on this piece of what you're doing right now and what it has meant for you personally.
yeah. So well, to kind of get there, it's just backing up and realizing what it took to like take the steps to get to where it is now. I mean, I used to be 5 days a week behind the chair. Evan was not part of our business at the time. He came on board in 2018, and he's really just helped. He's like a master of systems and processes and all the things. So I feel like that's such a huge part of it, is just having that partner with you, not only in life, but in business and all the things. But, moving into like this next phase of our career, I think it's, we call it like the, like legacy stylist. Is that, I mean, I don't know if you've heard that term, but it's like you kind of go through your career and it's all about me, me, me. And then you turn that corner and it's like, okay, how can I like pass on to the next generation?
Mhm.
We've always shared our knowledge and our skill set with our team. And so I think being able to utilize that skill, not only selfishly that we created it for our salon, but now getting to share it with others, that's been really cool because there's, hundreds of people taking the same courses that we created and used to teach in the salon. And so that that's been really, really cool, and I
Mhm.
think a part of that as well has helped us to kind of figure out how important it is to step back away from behind the chair and, not only to support our team, but also to try and figure out where do we put Refined Network? Where do we put the Artist Academy within our schedule? Because, you can't make more time. I mean, you know that.
Mhm.
You guys stay so busy too. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's a balancing act.
Yeah, it is. But I think that it's awesome that, again, like you said, at this phase in your career, it's not that, okay, I'm just going to step back behind the chair and I'm just going to run the salon or whatever. You're adding in this other element that I think for you, like being able to be around different people, it's the refined retreats and everything that you're doing too, I know are so special and it fills your cup just as much as it does for the people that are attending. And so tell me a little bit about what those retreats have been like for you and what it has meant for you to be able to be in front of those people and to work just side by side with these salons now.
No, it has been, I guess the part that brings me the most joy is being able to see those aha moments. And there's several that we work with that I'm like, I was that exact person like 5, 6, 7 years ago. And that part I get to say, hey, I was there. Like I totally
Mhm.
get it. We attended conferences just like this, and I remember the exact moment, the exact aha moments that I had that really catapulted us to that next phase. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
that part has been really cool. We just had one in November of last year in Greenville, and one of the attendees just came to me in just tears, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I had shared that I started journaling and how important it is in like leadership and like kind of recognizing where you were and where you're going and reading back through, what you wrote a year ago and all the things." And just that piece of it was really cool that she's like, "Oh my gosh, I started journaling and this is what I've experienced." I'm like, "Oh, this is so cool." So,
It's awesome to share the things that you're implementing and be like, "Oh yeah, this works for you." It's almost like being able to talk to your younger self and be like,
yes.
this is what is, while you're still figuring it out, like, but also to be like, here's what I think that you can do. And the sooner that you grasp this, the better, because I wish I would have. Now, you all are
Mhm.
able to take experience. It's that trade, right? Of like the ones going through it and figuring it out, but you also want to like share it so that it's easier for somebody else. I mean, I think that that's always like our goal is to be like, and that's where we're so like minded is to be like, we just want to make it better than it was. I want to share a little bit of your story in the industry. Again, before we kind of get into all the deep things, I want to hear kind of like what the timeline has been for you. So, like when you became a stylist, when did the salon open, where you are now, has all happened, but I want to kind of give people a realistic like timeline of how all of this has happened because it wasn't overnight, although I know looking back it feels like a blank. What was that timeline for you just to set like a realistic expectation?
So we, okay, I was 17 when I graduated hair school. I did the Career Center and I was a junior and senior and graduated with my license before my high school, diploma. And so I was 17. I was hired by my first boss, who I worked there for 7 years. I went to business school, graduated with a 4-year degree in business, and then spent an additional 3 years at that same salon. Learned a ton. I learned, how to build rapport with stylists who were not my age. I learned how to have conversations with my ideal clientele, which was not another 17-year-old, My ideal clientele was someone who had graduated college, who maybe was in the working world or who was a business person or an entrepreneur. And so I had to really understand all of that. Fast forward to 2012, we opened up our salon in a 1,200 square foot building, 4 chairs, debt free, all the things. And I did not recruit anybody to work with me. And I think I will hang my hat on that all day, every day, because, it's very, I guess, customary in our industry or common in our industry that you just recruit all these people from your current space and then you leave that business owner high and dry so that you could, start your business. And, each story is different, but I didn't want to go that route. Evan came on board in 2018. We were a staff maybe of 6, maybe 7. But I was behind the chair 5 days a week. If you wanted a job there, I might get back to you on Monday, but if not, it would be the following Monday because I was so full time behind the chair. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have formal training in place. We would say we're pro education, but again, we didn't have training in place. Evan came on board, really started implementing systems and structures. Um, he worked with another coaching company, decided to focus more on like leadership and culture, which they were not doing at that time. But, and he's been on his own, with Refine Network, and leading the salon on our end for quite some time. So that, like, it kind of all in the mix. I feel like there are so many things happening at the same time. I was able to step away from behind the chair. I'm behind the chair three
How
days a
long
month.
were you
Yeah.
doing hair though when you got to that place? Because I know that that's a big conversation right now of
Yeah.
when is the right time and how do you know? I know that's a question that you talk to people a lot. So, how long were you doing hair full time in it? So, running a salon, so also salon owner. We'll add in the mom piece in a little bit because there's also 2 kids that are added in to this as well. So how long were you doing that before the decision came to say, like, I actually am able to step back a little bit? And then how many, well, answer that question. And then I have a question
Okay.
about the number of employees that we got to also.
Okay, so it was 2022 when I stepped away or decided to. And I decided to step away full time behind the chair. We could talk about that for a while because that is like part of my learning
Mhm.
experience, mistakes, all of that. But so 18 years, 17 years ish, something like that before I stepped away. And I only stepped away for 6 months. So I'm back behind the chair, just the one day a week, 3 weeks out of the month. So I think it's, I don't know. I haven't thought about that and how long it took to get from, working full time to stepping away, but it definitely, we should like co-write a book on it,
Yes,
We should
for sure.
gear it towards students and, talk about the journey, but
I think
it's
that
so
the
many
reason I
factors.
wanted yes, the reason I wanted you to share that number is that I think that so many people, as we know, want things right away and they want things to happen so quickly. But I think that we have to talk about the reality of what that experience is. It's not that you decided after 2 years and you're like, oh, I'm good. I'm owning this. I own this lawn now. My name is on the door. So that means I get to take a
Mhm.
break and I can change my schedule and I cannot be grinding as hard. But I think it's very much the opposite of that. The
Mhm.
reward is bigger. Like where you are now and where you all are going is huge and it's going to be amazing and you're just still in the beginning middle like of all of that, but it's not an overnight thing. There's so much work of being behind the chair and being an owner. There's so
Yes.
many years, there's so much work that is put in where you're tired to get to the place. So it's like, it's hard to make that decision too because you're tired, you're exhausted, and you don't, it's not great to make decisions out of exhaustion or throw your hands up. I just can't do this anymore. That's never a great place to be when you're making such a big choice. But it did take time and there was growth. So you said you started with 4 people, like when you were just Silver Salon before Evan came in, right? You had 4 other people
It
with
was
you.
we were probably 5 or 6 on staff at the time.
Okay. Yes,
Yes.
which
I mean, so
isn't
close
small. I mean,
enough.
it's not
Yeah.
nothing for sure. And then where are you all currently with how many employees do you have working for you?
For 25, which that's the biggest we've ever been, and I definitely feel the weight of that. You
Mhm.
were talking about tired and exhaustion, and I think of the word like depleted and all of
Mhm.
the things that come along with that, and I think it is the more I don't know, you hear build this beautiful salon and people will come, which is great, but it requires so much of your mental energy. The like you said, the reward is big, but
Mhm.
or bigger, the potential of it is bigger, but yeah, it's a lot of work.
What were those emotions? What do you remember of feeling when you got to the point to say that, you're stepping back? I know that there's clients relying on you. I don't know if there's questions of like, am I still going to be good enough doing hair? Do I need to stay in it for a certain amount of hours per week to stay relevant or good? Because you are very much an overachiever in the best way possible. Like, I still see you. I mean, you're still every day, like, nitpicking how to be better. You're fine tuning, as Mark and I call it, all
Mhm.
the time of like, I just want to be the best. You're constantly learning. What were the feelings for you? What do you remember of stepping back out or just, maybe those things that weren't as vocal, but they were there?
So I think the first time I stepped away, I did it because I thought I was supposed to. We were about to move and expand from 1,200 square feet to 3,000. And you're asking really great questions. And I'm over here sitting, this is like off the cuff. I haven't really thought about this. Um, but the first time I did it because I thought I had to, but I didn't have the systems and structure to support. So the thoughts that were going through my mind were, what projects am I going to do? Am I still valuable? Am I
Mhm.
still going to have, street cred with our team? And a lot of self doubt, going into that for sure. And during that season, I think uh, I had to really, look in the mirror and I had to fully recognize we didn't have systems and structures in the way that would support me not being behind the chair. And we paid the consequences for that. We had 40% of our revenue walk out the door that summer. And so, kind of fast forward to now, I only open my schedule up 6 months at a time so that I can make that decision at any point. So every 6 months, I get to reassess. Do I get to step away? Do I stay behind the chair? Are we ready? And so I could 100% without a doubt say, like, we are 100% ready if I decided to do it. And so we built systems and leadership structure. And this is my year of delegation. We basically created, job descriptions for everything that I want to delegate out to our team. And it would survive if I were not behind the chair. It could be
Mm-hmm.
supported. And so that's really freeing too, because I get to decide, do I want to be behind the chair because I want to, or do I need to do it because I still have more development inside? And maybe it's a
Mm-hmm.
combination of both. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
it's so smart that you do that every 6 months because life is changing, being a
Mhm.
mom, and again, all the things that you all are adding in that I think every 6 months is a really good place to be like, okay, is this still working? Is this what's best for us? Or do I need to adjust these next 6 months? But then you can readjust again. I think that's what's so great about you and Ev is that you really are open to being like, this is working right now or it's not working right now and we need to switch that, which is I think a benefit of having your spouse with you in the business. There are challenges I know that come along with that as well, but I think that
Yeah.
that's such a benefit because no one's going to understand the season of life that you're in like more than your partner to say like, hey, I need to pump the brakes in this area but I can give more here, because they're doing it with you, they're living it out with you, so they really understand that. Whereas if you had a business partner that wasn't your spouse or someone, it might not always be understood in that same way. But I think
Mhm.
those feelings of self-doubt, I mean, you're always questioning, is this the right decision? Am I doing something that's gonna, yeah, make the business fall? Is it my fault if 40% of the revenue comes out because I made this? I mean, as an owner, you should be at least always questioning if what you're doing is right. But that's a hard thing to take on. It's a really hard thing to carry when you care so much, which I
Yes.
know that you do. So I think it's good to kind of talk about how you've gone through that. I know you've mentioned like journaling and stuff. I know that you were on a schedule of like making sure that you had me time, and that me time meant 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever you need to do to clear your head. What are some other things that you've implemented that have like kind of helped through that busy season?
Um, so what's really helped through the busy season is what you just said. I think it's just being very proactive in the schedule. So in the mornings, typically we obviously work together and get the kids to school and all the things. But when I get ready, so I typically will get the kids ready, breakfast, get them ready for Evan to take them to school. Once they leave, that's kind of my 45 minutes of me time. I'll pop in my AirPods. I'll listen to a podcast. I mean, there's so many good podcasts and free resources out there that you can learn so many just little nuggets from. So that would definitely be one of them. I'm kind of back on the fitness journey. I say that because it's kind of like on again, off again, it's like that boyfriend that you could never get rid of, is on again, off again. And I'm like, but they kind of need to be there. I need to exercise. So we just bought we got a really good deal on a rowing machine. And I'm like,
Okay.
I've never used a rowing machine until now. So we'll see. But I feel like
Yeah.
that's such a big part of just leadership. And I know it sounds really silly, leadership and exercise, but I feel like it just gets your body functioning at all cylinders, gets your mental, you know, I don't know, it gets your mind right.
No, it's so important. And I think that like really making that time, that practice just in itself is really important because you have to be able to show up for everybody. And there's only so long that we can, show up again depleted. Like we can't give the best. And we know that. It's just hard to make that happen. So
Mhm.
you added in the most beautiful two humans to you and Evan's life. So Natalia and
Mhm.
Kaden were added into your life. When did you become a mom? What year was that? And where were you at in
I
your career when that happened?
Okay. So long story short, we fostered to adopt. We dealt with infertility for a long time. And I remember we used to take a trip the weekend after Thanksgiving every year. And so we went to Charleston, South Carolina, and we stayed on a houseboat in the Charleston Harbor. And it was awesome. And we just said, all right, if we're not pregnant by this trip, then we're going to fill out the paperwork. So that was in November. That following March, we got our daughter, Natalia, and it was March 31st of 2017. So we came home from work early that Friday afternoon, and we were going to get some housework done and some yard work. And I saw a number pop up on my phone that I did not recognize, but I was like, let me answer this really quick before I go outside. And it was they were calling to say, hey, can you take a little girl? She'll be at your house in 3 hours. So we had our daughter there by 7 o'clock that night. And so, yeah. And then we got my son throughout that whole process. It's a very complex process to foster and all the things. But we got our son in October of that same year. So he's 6 months old. She was 2.5. And so we felt like we had twins, but
Yeah.
2.5 years apart.
Within 6 months is so crazy for you to already be like, life is happening. I mean, you have time through pregnancy to like get ready and all of the things like this happening so quickly.
Yeah.
I know just had to have just like rocked your world of how are we going to like, how did you manage the prioritizing? I mean, I know you and Evan are such amazing parents. I know that they were priority, but in all realness, you have a business also. So how did that work out? How did you handle juggling all of that? Can you even look back to that time of your life and remember any of it of like how it survived or how it happened?
I have no idea. I look back on that and, and when you foster and all the things, it's home visits. It is visits with biological parents. It is, I mean, it's so much.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I think we did it one day at a time, 1 week at a time. I mean, in 2017, I was still full-time behind the chair.
Mhm.
Evan was still working at the church. So our schedules were opposite. He was Sunday through Thursday. I was Tuesday through Saturday. So we were just high-fiving. And, I remember on Sunday mornings, he would be at the church early. So I would get a 6-month-old ready, a
Mhm.
2.5-year-old ready, myself ready.
Mhm. Mhm.
We would take this Cadillac of a stroller into the convention center, which is where the church service was being held. I'd like go across like a college campus basically with 2 children, go to church, and then what normal people would do is they would go home. I would go to the grocery store with a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. I'm like, what? I couldn't do that now. You know,
I know. Only then
I
we
think you
had like
just
insane energy for some reason.
Well, I just feel like you do what you have to do, and
Mhm.
whatever that looks like in that season, I'm sure if that were to have happened in the season that we're in now, I feel
Mhm.
like I would still probably do it the same. You do what you have to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. And the kids just, I know they're both there today in the background because it no school today.
I
So
know.
they have just been raised with this business as well. I mean, they're involved in it. They know what you all do. Do they love like coming in to visit and getting to come into the salon to see it?
Well, Natalia did find out recently that you could put your kids on payroll. And
Uh-huh.
I haven't really researched much of that, but she was like, Mom, can you put me on payroll? And I'm like, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, so I think there are good days and bad days. I don't think they love always being at the salon, but I think that our team really loves on them, dotes on them. And I mean, the same thing with all the Silver Salon kids, school's out. We've got an education class. So I feel like at 1 o'clock today, we're probably going to have a few more kids in the salon in the background, and we just make it work. Um,
Mhm.
Natalia, she just had this conversation with me yesterday, and she was like, hey, one of the neighborhood kids say that we're always at the salon and that we work too much. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, do their parents own a business? And she's like, well, no, I'm not really sure what they do. And I was like, well, this one friend's parents work from home, not discrediting that, but, and then the other one is a, doctor or whatever it is. And I'm like, it's just different. We have a different
Mhm.
lifestyle. We have different responsibilities. So it's interesting having those conversations with them as well.
Yeah, for the to get like their perspective on what they think is going on is so funny because they're definitely starting to understand. They're at ages where they're starting to get it. But yeah, just like in that moment, they're putting the pieces together of like, oh, our family looks like this and this family looks like this. And there are so many different options now, like you said, like working from home and all of that. Like it just looks very different. And they're getting just firsthand look at what it is to be a business owner, which I love. And I feel like Natalia, like, is I don't know. I can just see her going in there and like just being like, "Oh, hey, I'm here." Like I like love love. I want to go in with her. I want to go see it like with her just to hear her like commentary on it.
Oh yes. She is in Girl Scouts and just she brought in all the Girl Scout cookie deliveries today. So she's written a thank you note. She's wrapped them with ribbon. And I'm like, good for you. You know, that's
Obsessed.
that's what you do.
Yes, she's just the best. Both of your kids are so amazing. Like they both just keep me laughing and I'm just so thankful for that. And I know that this is also why and we had this conversation I think when we interviewed like Summer and Preston too, but I think it's why it's so important that you have people like it we're so lucky to all be in the same industry, but even just people friends that are going through all of these same things. Our families are all very similar. I feel like we need to like name our group for when we talk about it on the podcast. But I know people that have followed me on social media have seen you on my social media or seen us in our little group hangouts. And the best part of that is just knowing that without even saying it, you guys always just understand what we're going through or,
Mhm.
what we're juggling right now and all in a similar season of life. And I just can't like say enough how important that is without me ever realizing that that was going to be an important group that I was going to need or people that I was going to need to lean on because we all are trying to parent similarly. We're all like trying to run these businesses similarly. There's just so many things that are the same that being able to just be like, hey, this is going on, like it just makes it so much easier to have a group of people that maybe not even in the same town, but that you can at least now text and be like, hey, this is going on and what do we do? Like it's just
Yeah.
so helpful. And I'm so
Well,
thankful for our weird little
I
group.
love I love it for I mean, I definitely love it to bounce the bad things off, like the how do I deal with
Mhm.
this or whatever, but I love that it's a group where you can celebrate the good things and it's not, perceived in any kind of way outside of celebratory,
Yeah.
Um, and so that's been really cool too, because it's like, who am I gonna call? I'm like, I'm gonna call my dad, my mom,
Yeah.
and be like, this happened today. But, I
Yeah.
could put it in a group text and, there's no judgment or like
Yeah.
I get to well, I think the last time that we hung out was, I don't know, a couple months ago, whenever that
Mhm.
was. And we got to share, like we hit like a big goal for our salon. I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so good to tell somebody. So,
Yes,
but
and being able to like
yeah,
jump around, like I was so excited. And yeah,
yeah.
it's not competition. We're genuinely like want the best for each other and like want that excitement and it's so rare and hard to find those
Mhm,
people that it's just real with and we all are just so lucky that we like found each other and our kids like
mhm,
all get along so well and I'm sure that they're gonna look back and talk like, yeah, we were always in the school or we were always in the salon or we were always here. And it's the best because then they'll
mhm.
have people to relate to and complain about it with also.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it.
um, so Erin, what does I know this is like really hard to define, but your week right now as like, as we're talking like percentages, I don't know what the best way for you to explain it is, but when you're breaking your week up into a normal week, because I know every week looks different, um, what's your main time given to right now? Or is it like 50-50 salon, refined network and then obviously parents 24/7. So that's just always. But as far as the business goes right now, what are the percentages of like what you're doing with your time?
I would say 70% is business related. which is kind of embarrassing. But we try and keep Sundays just like family days, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes work spills over into those. But I try and leave the salon every day by 4. And if if my kids are up until 8 or 9, I feel like that's a good split. It's
Mm-hmm.
70, probably 30. So
Yeah.
I mean, definitely room for optimization for sure. I mean, I would love for more balance, but I don't know that balance is even a real thing. I think it's more of just a rhythm. And, some weeks I feel like maybe it's 80% and 20% at home, and some are 50
Mm-hmm.
50. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
What about for you? What are you doing?
I feel like our schedules are similar. I feel like Evan and Mark juggle like kid pickup and stuff like that. Is that still your schedule that Ev's like getting them? Yeah. So I think we're similar in that. I definitely think that you all have motivated me a lot with the parameters of phone time, right? So I think that if there was an imbalance of things happening at home, it was because I just didn't stop. Like it wouldn't shut off ever. I think you get into that habit of like not me building the business because I came into a business that was established, but I still prioritized everything of the growth, the changes that were happening, just making sure that I was available for admissions questions or anything that would happen because it was new to me. I was building my career. So I prioritized that. Like, so being in the industry 13 years, I mean, that was priority for sure, even while, yeah, having kids and our marriage and all of that stuff. I don't think that the balance was always there, but I think that it was my season of, grinding. That
Mhm.
is, those are that's the time that I can look back on and be like, man, I wish, you shared, mistakes that you made with, and how you're trying to fix it. That's the thing that I'm trying to fix currently. And I think I've done better on. I mean, I know Evan was even telling me about his, settings. And again, if you haven't picked up yet, Evan and Erin are extremely structured people. So they have systems in their own, like their life as well, not just in the business. But Evan had, screen time settings and all of that. I think in the last little bit, I've done a lot better at that. And I'm really working on that balance. But I think, Mondays we dedicated to the show instead of recording just whenever people could be on the show. We just said, Mondays is when we do it. So I think similar to you guys, there's this days when we're recording or we're doing education classes, you've set that time for that thing that needs to happen. But when is it going to happen? That's been really
Mhm.
helpful. I've really tried to like, if anything, when I come home, I try to be like, okay, I'm not going to look at my phone or check my email until this time. I mean, it's still really hard. I mean, there's always things happening. The school is open when I'm at home. So it's hard. But I think with Steven coming into the business and being able to feel or, some of those questions before it will get to me is helpful, but also just understanding that just because somebody texted you, it doesn't mean it requires an urgent response. And this is new. Like this is something new I'm working on and figuring out that I don't have to check my email every 30 seconds because what if somebody has a question? Like everybody also, like nobody ever asked me to do that. And anybody emailing about admissions isn't like, oh, I'm expecting a response at midnight, but
Right.
that's what I was prioritizing. But that was all just pressure that I was just putting on myself and more out of need of like, I just want to get it out of my inbox. That
Yes.
was it's that feeling of like I just want to check it off the list. But like as I mean, there's things that come up just all the time, and that is a part of it. And the kids, and Mark, they do understand that there's going to be times that I have to take a call or I need to handle this situation. But I think that I put more of it into our life than it needed to be
Mhm.
in the past. And then you realize how quickly everything's going, and you're like, wait, I can't miss
Mhm.
this. This isn't more
Yeah.
important, and nobody's even asking me to do it.
Yeah, I had somebody told me years ago. They said only you can determine what an emergency is, and it just stuck with me. And
Mhm.
it kind of I don't know who said this. I wish I could credit it, but um someone else's lack of planning is not your emergency. And so those
Mm-hmm.
two statements specifically have just offered like good freedom. And, for me, I'm like, okay, is this an emergency to me or is this an emergency to the other person? And then do I
Mm-hmm.
need to provide urgency to this or not?
Yeah.
One thing I love, like technology wise, when we think about planning and getting things off my list is scheduling text messages out or scheduling emails out. Just this
Mm-hmm.
morning, I was like, I need to let front desk know something, but I don't want to bother them on a Saturday. So I
Mm-hmm.
just, picked it to schedule out and send at 9 a.m. on Monday. And I was like, this is great. I got it off my
Mm-hmm.
list. I kind of forgot that I sent it. And then she replied back to me this morning. I was like, oh, yeah, I did schedule that out like 48 hours ago.
Yes. I think there's a lot more tools that are available now that we can kind of just understand. I think it's also part of maturing. I think that, at our age right now, we're really things are starting to click a little bit more about where we want to put our energy. And that might be because our energy has been so low that we're like, we literally can't. We
Mhm.
literally can't have a breakdown every day. We can't like operate at our best. So we need to figure out where everything fits. And then when the things come up that are unplanned or whatever, like, yeah, we can deal with that. But there's so many resources now that it's easier than ever, I think, to schedule and plan and
Mhm.
for, yeah,
Yes.
to schedule the text messages and stuff. So I think that that's more of just a permission that we needed to give ourselves,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that comes with time, which is another reason that I think, you know, in the career, like give yourself the time. Don't just run out of it or give up after too short, because there's so much that you're going to learn and there's so much that
Mhm.
you will be able to adjust, maybe just not right away, but there is the time and the experience really will allow you to adjust those things. Just got to like hold on to that.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like in the earlier part of my career, I would get lost in like the minutia of like the small things,
Mhm.
and I'm like you were just saying, I mean, you don't have time to worry about the small things anymore. You have two small children at home. I
Mhm.
have two small children at home. And, maybe you've gone through something that or they've gone through something and you're like, this is this small like thing that I used to worry about. I cannot put any more energy or, movement towards that. Otherwise, I'm depleting myself for what is really important.
Right. Yeah. And then, on
Yeah.
those days when when you have burnout and you're like, okay, I don't, you just don't want to show up that way. Cause then you start
Mhm.
critiquing, like, oh, I hate how I handled that situation. Then you're like, that cycle of like beating yourself up over
Mhm.
how you handle a situation, and you're like, okay, well, I wasn't operating at my best. I mean, Mark and I had a big conversation this year about like how our brains need to be ready for what we're accomplishing right now, and to
Mhm.
be like, for example, I haven't even told you in summer this, but you guys are gonna like love this. I'll just spill it here on the podcast, but it's nothing like crazy. I really made that dramatic, but that's what we're supposed to do on the podcast, right, Mark? We're supposed to like get the hook. That was my first attempt ever at like a what clickbait. Okay, but the kids with Mark's mom moving in with us, we had to switch some beds around. Erin, I ordered two, not one, okay? Not one, but two of the wrong bed sizes to my house, which first of all, let me also comment. I don't know if oh no, Mark knows this. I was like, did I tell him this part? Not only did the first wrong bed size, so like needed a queen, but got a full or whatever I did wrong. I think it was something like that. It first showed up at TSB because I didn't change the address
Mhm.
on the shipping.
That's
And then
happened.
this, yeah. And then, which that's like normal. But to have to take two beds. So in total, four beds were purchased, all arrived when we were like away on our trip. So they're all like, we have to show up. And like when I went to the shipping place to like return it, they were like, I'm like, don't even ask. Like my brain is gone. And that's when it's like after those moments, I'm like, mistakes happen twice. I'm like, okay, that I need to slow down. Like clearly we're moving too quickly. I was, doing it like fast, like on my phone, like trying to take care of these things. And what we know now is that we just don't operate in our best way, because then stupid mistakes happen. we don't have time to run to the shipping plate. I don't have time to return these. It just created all of these extra things. But when those things happen, I'm always like, okay, I got to slow down and I need to do something different because I'm not operating at peak level. And I know you're the same as me. We want to operate at our best at all times. So realizing at this age now what we need to do to be able to do that, to make time for the things that we want to do, like that's experience. That is the like beauty of what comes with age. I love it so much, but to be reminded and to say like, this is what I need. When in my 20s, I felt like I would have just been like, oh, whatever. Like I take it now and I take note of it to say like, oh, this is a mess up and I need to refocus.
No, I agree. That's usually when I make my most careless mistakes. And it's nice being able to learn that by the ripe age of like 26, right? Because we're just
Mhm.
26,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Hmm.
Yeah. No, it's good. No, I totally agree. We've made careless mistakes like this, and front desk will be like, we got, something random delivered to the salon. I was like, oh, that's for us. That's for us. Sorry. I'm like, it wasn't a bed though. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Huge boxes, huge things. Like it's a
yes.
mess, but we can recognize when we're jumbled and when we need to make, quiet time. My goal for 2026 was to meditate every day. Some weeks I do great, some days I do great, and then some days I don't, like it just doesn't happen. And most of the time right now for like the last month, it, hasn't happened. There was some good moments in
Hmm.
January. But February
Hmm.
hasn't been as good at that. But it's even today, like I got to walk in because the sun is out and I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I just needed that for my brain to start working. Cause don't you also feel like there's been moments where you've gotten comfortable in the chaotic brain? And you're like, oh, yeah,
Hmm.
this is just how I operate. And then once you're out of it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's not how it's supposed to go at all.
Yeah, usually for me, I will operate in chaos for so long and then I'll physically get sick. Like
Mm.
my immune system is depressed, or I guess suppressed, not depressed,
Hmm.
but it's suppressed, and I'll get, ill and I can't function. And I'm like, that's normally, I shouldn't let it get to that point, but that is
Hmm.
usually the point where I'm like, oh, well, I guess I do need to slow down. I
Yeah.
mean, that happened last winter. I went on a field trip with a bunch of fifth graders to some, I guess it was like Seabrook Island. Um, and I was just going, going, going. I mean, it was a really busy time at work, and then I wanted to be a great mom, and then I came back and we had a team meeting, and then we had our retreat the next weekend. And I was like, why did I should have said no to something. And I don't
Hmm.
know what the no would have been. But,
Yeah.
you look back and you're like, this is not worth it.
No, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's the hard part, I think, of the phase we're in. And I think so many women can relate to this. I think so many women
Mhm.
can be like, yes, I'm there and I feel this way right now.
Mhm.
How do I get out of it? Or, what do we do? And I think the only thing that I have found that works is having other mom friends that you can
Mhm.
talk to, that understand, that you can call or you can text me and be like, today's the day I'm losing it. Like I need, I just need to know this is normal. I need to
Mhm.
know that this isn't just something wrong with me, that, there are things that we're working through and somebody else understands it. Like we can put
Mhm.
into place all of these things that are good. And I know there's so many good things like physically for our bodies, but I think what I have found over the last few years is just having people that you can talk to about that. So again, encouraging, even if your friends are, it's not the friends that you met in your 20s or whatever, like it might be people that you meet in a different stage, just always making sure that you have that is just my number one piece of advice for sure.
Yeah, you're so smart.
So
Love
smart. Okay,
it.
I don't want to get off of this episode without talking to you about some advice that you have for people that are new in the industry, not even specifically beauty school students, but people that are new to the beauty industry, new in a salon. Even in like 1-2 years, I think a lot of people think that in their second year they're like, "Oh, I'm making money. I got it figured out." I'm like, you're still young in the beauty industry, so what
Mhm.
advice do you have for people that are coming into salon salons. I mean, you are going into schools and you're talking to students. You're also training people. You have this weird balance of like three different important things. You're in schools talking to new people. You're in the salon every day with stylists that are growing and you're growing them. You're working with them, through, different levels and growing their books and growing their business.
Mhm.
And then on the other side of it, you're working with people through Refine that have maybe been in the industry for a very long time and are just making changes. So because you are touching all three of those points, what do you think right now is like the most important advice thing that, young stylists need to start thinking about? What advice do
Mhm.
you want to share?
I would say first to the student, um, I would say yes to everything. Say
Mhm.
yes. And I do think that the students, especially now, have this idea of what the real world is like, that they're going to be able to niche down right away after school. And I'm like, no, you've got to be good at lots of different things. And
Mhm.
I'm not like a doom and gloom kind of economy, it's going in the tubes or whatever.
Mhm.
But I do think that as the economy has shifted over the last 20 years that I've been in the industry, it would be fair to say that I need to be decent at every single skill set that could be offered behind the chair. There's been times I started doing hair in 2005, which is right before, the housing market crashed. And, balayage was born, ombre was born. All of these techniques that we talk about just, you know, all the time now. That's when these were born. And you saw less hair color happening every 4 weeks and more haircuts. So you really had to sharpen the cutting skills. So that's what I would say to the student. To the brand new stylist in the salon, I would say um, get a mentor and ask for feedback all the time. The two words that we tell student or new artists in our salon, you do not say are the words I know, because as soon as you say I know, that's when people start saying, well, if you know, good luck. And then you'll
Mhm.
make a really, really big mistake and people are going to say, not at our salon, but it could happen. They're like, well, you didn't listen to me, So we always tell them to say, yes, what else? Yes, what else? Just so that they continue getting poured into by people who are further along than them. I would say to the salon owner that is burnt out and doesn't know what next step to take, I would say they need to start educating themselves, whatever that looks like. It could be free resources like podcasts, it could be attending a leaders retreat, it could be getting coaching one on one, but you just need to start doing something, because what you know is what got you to where you are. And I mean, that's where I am personally. Like, we want to grow into multi-location, and I don't know how to do that, and
Mhm.
so I've got to start seeking out people who have done that before me, start learning and educating myself and understanding what systems and processes do I need to have in place in order to achieve that. So is
Yeah.
that
I love
helpful?
that. That's all such great
Okay.
advice. Yes, such great advice. And I
Mhm.
love what you said about the I know. I want to make that a rule. I like that a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
I know that so if you're in the Greenville area as a
Mhm.
stylist, want to join a salon team, they can apply with you at Silver Salon. And then as far as Refine, how can we find you and connect with you through Refine? And what is the first step for somebody that's looking into this? Or if they're like, what is Refine? Where can we start with that?
So I would probably start just by following our social media. It's the Refined Network on Instagram, on Facebook, TikTok, wherever you do social media. And then from there, I'm all about like courting a salon or a coaching company, like see what we're about. And if
Mhm.
it sounds like something that would, be in alignment with or maybe they just are like, oh, I like that post. Maybe I want to get more information about it. The next step from there is to set up a discovery call. And then Evan or Christopher can kind of help navigate what would be a good next step. I like to think of Refine as three different kind of categories. I like to think about growing your leadership, and then creating structure and training your team, and then growing and scaling your company. So we do all three of those things. So we've got growth coaching, we've got the Artist Academy, which helps you train your team consistently every single time. And then Christopher and Tony, they essentially help you restructure and realign your pricing, your commission structure, all of those things, which really help you to scale your business.
There is so much happening there, and I'm so excited
Yeah.
to watch all of this and to be a part of it. Before we end today, we're doing our Ask Bobbi segment. So, what
Okay.
question do you have for me, Erin? And
Well,
keep
I
it
had
to things that
three.
I can talk about on the podcast. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I felt like this one was right up your alley because it talks about specifically beauty schools and teaching business within beauty schools, which I know you guys do a lot of, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I didn't have any business classes when I was in beauty school, just so you know.
Mhm.
Okay. So, if you had to require one business class for every single beauty school student across the country, what would it be?
Yeah. Okay. So I've talked so much to you and Evan about what you're doing with Refine, and even talking to Evan about a leadership class. So I go back and forth between what I'm seeing the students, I don't even want to say lacking because it sounds negative. It's more of like where they are most coachable, right? Like where there's room for
Mhm.
improvement. And I go back and forth between the need for leadership training, because I think even when you were talking about how you're doing your training in the salon, and I know how that has adjusted and altered, and how you're constantly like fine tuning that. I know there is a need for communication classes. How do we communicate when there's a problem? How do we accept feedback without taking it so personally or it really affecting us, and how do we let feedback affect us? So right now I would love to implement that, and that's not even like business related. I just would love more of that in the industry. But I think as far as business classes, I think the realistic expectations of what the different salon structures offer, because I think a lot of students are finding out information or taking their opinion of a salon structure from social media. So they're seeing the people that they follow that have had whatever experience, and they're like, okay, well, I don't want this or I don't want that. So I think the most important right now, if I could like snap my fingers and be like, this is implemented in curriculum, is a class on the different types of salon structures. And then what falls into those categories, as pay, how are we buying products, back bar, like all of those things. I just want someone to make a really realistic chart or something that we can just say like, here's commission and this is what it looks like, and here are realistic expectations of how long, profitability, like how much can I expect to make, salon suites and hybrid, and just all of the different options that there are. I really would love if somebody could, we could implement that education in. We do it by bringing salon owners in that work at different structures, and our opinions on how things, like, we have to put that to the side, because yes, we know what we recommend and what we feel is best, like our students know that, but I think really putting people in front of them that are working in their area, not on social media, in their area, that have actually done it successfully, and to talk about the realities of it. I think that is the class that I would like implement tomorrow, because I think that's the biggest need or biggest misconception.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that also? Like, do you feel like that's what they're just maybe not necessarily understanding from beauty school?
Yes, and I was gonna say, I know a great coaching company to come in and do that class for you guys.
I know.
But I know. But we do that class for our local schools. I mean, we have a very, I mean, it's not exactly like that, but we do talk about like the different structures and what you should expect, and even going into the kind of simple things like, if somebody says they're commission, but then you're 1099, like that's not okay, all of those
Right.
things. And really understanding what the differences are structurally, but then also recognizing that everybody that's in beauty school at TSB is not meant to be in a commission base, or they're
Mhm.
not all meant to be, rental or suite owners. And figuring out what personality traits and what it is that you want for your business and your life and your
Mhm.
lifestyle, and kind of matching that with the structure, you know, that fits for you. Like at our
Mhm.
salon, if you, uh, don't want to go to the supply store ever and you want support at the front desk and you want social media completely supported, you want new clients funneling in your chair all the time, we're a great fit. And you don't want to
Mhm.
have to do any of that. We're a great fit. You just want to do your craft. But if you want to have a ton of, um, control over social media or who actually ends up sitting in your chair, I mean, that we might not be a good fit because we're going to be like, hey, we're doing the marketing and you got to service the people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, so I definitely think there's different personality types for each type of business for sure. But I
Mhm.
think in our industry, it's very much rental all the way. So commission is seen as like a stepping stone for booth rent or suite rental. And I'm like,
Mhm.
we have people in our company almost making $100,000. I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know that that would be possible for them if they were out on their own. I mean,
Yeah.
there's other factors like coaching and support and pricing and, marketing that
Hey,
really help support them.
something you told me and shared with me just the last time that we were together, and this isn't even something that you mentioned, but I think it's something to be considered as value when you are working with the right salon, is
Mhm,
that you had an employee, you had a staff member that was going through, I think, loss, separate, there was something going on in their personal lives that you stopped to take time to be there for them and to speak with them when
mhm,
we were together even. And I think all of
mhm,
those things that you listed are definitely amazing for business and all that stuff. But there's so much more that you all give too. And I think that's where when you find the right fit and you have people that are going to take care of you, you have people that have worked for you for a really long time, it's family. It's we're going to show up no matter what. We're going to be there to support you through hard times too. And none of that is even mentioned, but like we said earlier, that's the stuff that you're going to need at some point in your life. Sometimes you just need somebody to be there for you in your corner, and you all are that for your employees. So it's like there's that on top of it as well, as finding the place where you can really call home, and you're going
mhm,
to be loved on and cared for. And I do think that we didn't mention it as much in this episode, but that is what you and Evan do so well. And I'm thankful to be your friend and thankful to like get to see you in action and see you doing like all the good that you're doing in the world. So I can't wait for all of the other things too. I mean, multi-location, refined network growing. There are so many things that I know you all are shooting for right now. And I just can't wait to watch all of it happen and to dance in the kitchen like with you to celebrate.
mhm.
Like I
Yeah.
cannot wait.
Yes. Thank you, Bobby. We so appreciate your relationship and your friendship, and thanks for having me today.
Yes. All right. So make sure you go follow Silver Salon and Refined Network and Erin on Instagram. And thank you for being with us, Erin. And don't forget at the end of this episode to rate, review, subscribe, do all the things, comment down below, get that engagement going. So thank you, Erin. And we will see you next time, guys. Bye.